Okay, we're live.
Oh, that was the longest countdown ever, Cowboy.
No, there's longer.
Next time, do a 10-minute one.
Just sitting here
Switch
for
it on
10
at
minutes.
8:30. Go live at 8:40.
That's perfect. All right, we'll do it.
Anyway, Savages, good morning, all of you guys. Hey, it's the Gorilla. He's the Cowboy. We have a special guest with us, Trevor. He's one of the guys, and he's not only a client, he's also a trading participant. He's worked out his back testing, configured his algos, and we're gonna have some fun working the algos, surfing the algos. It's gonna be awesome. Make sure you keep it locked and loaded and tuned right here, algofactory.tech. Scan that QR code. Don't let money pass you by. Don't leave money on the table. Learn one of the most valuable skills this side of neurosurgery. Become a trader that can not only learn how to trade, but also learn how to construct those algorithms that can trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right here on algofactory.tech for less than a price of coffee. I don't care if it's Starbucks coffee. I don't care if it's Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I don't care if it's Seattle's Best or it's gas station coffee. We are cheaper. $1.66 a day, folks. $1.66 a day. We're giving it away for free, man. Join us. Give me 6 months of your life, and let us show you what we can do for you. With that being said, Cowboy, Trev, good morning, guys.
Morning. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain. It's Thursday.
Morning.
I can't believe this week has gone by with a blur.
I think we talked about it yesterday, how time goes by much more quickly as we grow older. And my math teacher had a great formula. This is when you're 5, a year is a 50 year life. It takes a long time to go by. When you're 30, it's a 30th of your life. Yeah, well, right. I wish I could say it was a 30th of my life at this point. It's a little bit less than that, but
half our lives are over already, Cowboy.
Speak for yourself. I'm living to be 120.
That's my goal too.
That's right. Trev is on with us and has taken his valuable time to come on and do like MavBet did. I think that was Monday when MavBet came on. And MavBet, by the way, and I just want to repeat it, she is killing it. She's got a great algo forming up. And she sent me some data. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it. She's going to deploy this algo soon because she's almost up to her 200 back tests. So once she's deploying, and she's going to deploy either like not full money. So you're not going to put a lot of money onto these trades, either a tiny bit of money or like just fake demo trading, paper trading, just to see how it performs in real life. And if that continues to be successful, then she's going to really deploy. If not, then we'll go ahead and I'll help her take a look at that algo and see what we can do to improve it. But that's MavBet. We got Trev on right now. So, Trev, tell us how you're doing and just kind of give us a little bit of just your thoughts before we bring up the algo on the screen.
Which one first? Thoughts or algo?
We'll go with thoughts.
I don't know.
Start with your thoughts so that people can understand.
All right.
I don't know your experience.
That shouldn't take too long then. Where I'm from.
Yeah,
where
sure.
I'm from.
You start with that.
You have a heavy Brooklyn accent, Trev.
Yeah, I was going to say Russian.
I was going to say Brooklyn. But,
Brooklyn Russians.
He's a Russian Brooklyn.
Okay. All right. Well, so where I'm from then probably is probably the best place to start. Yeah, Brit in the UK. I know you practice some of the accents. I started off with probably the closest would have been a Sean Bean type accent. I don't know what it sounds like now. Like you say, it sounds a bit Russian. Who knows?
No.
So I picked a bit of bit of Cockney on the way around and landed in South Wales. So.
Closest I've been to South Wales was in I think Bath. It's not very close to South Wales, but closer than London.
Yeah, it's just across the Bristol Channel from me. It's not far at all. So so I bounced around a bit. I had 8 months in New Zealand, and I'm married a Welsh girl, so I'm stuck here now.
All right.
Yeah. Could have been worse. You could have married a Kiwi and been stuck in New Zealand under the Ardenne administration. God almighty.
Apart from the geopolitical, it's that was a beautiful place. I absolutely love it.
Is
I
gorgeous.
Home, so.
Why is it that all the lunatics run some of the most beautiful places in the world and the most nicest cities are run by lunatics? Right?
So I think they want to ruin it, and
that's
then
what it is.
They want to ruin it, so all of the let's just say more responsible people leave, and then once it's ruined, they'll revitalize it for themselves. That's what I think the plan is. Blood in the streets and all that.
Trev, apologize for commandeering your intro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you reckon there's any thought behind it? Is it a bit of strong men, good times, weak men? It's such a nice. It's just savage. Who knows?
All right.
Yeah. So,
well, Trev,
trading.
if we could just go ahead, Trev. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just prattling on about me again. So I could see the winds of change come in springtime, and I was thinking, oh right, well I was made redundant in 2008, and I didn't particularly want that to happen again. So I thought I'd best jump on board and get used to trading, get a level of skill up, so that it does come again, then I'll be ready for it.
Well, we think it will come again. That's why we put Algo Factory together, is for, those who were either made redundant in 2008 or perhaps were put out of business in 2020. This is a way to generate income that, look, I'm going to say it this way. If trading goes away, then trading going away is the last of your problems, because trading is going to be the last thing to go. It's how, at least that's my opinion. No one knows the future, but this is how the rich make and move their money. It's through markets. So if that goes away, then we're basically probably all living in caves, just my opinion. And Trev, you've really taken this on from the start. You've even built your own algo. And look, you don't, just for the public to listen to, it's not necessary to have Trev's level of skill when it comes to like knowing how to code and such things. It's, in fact, I don't know how to code, and I'm going to briefly talk about a trade that we entered last night, and then we're going to let Trev loose. And Trev, we'll just continue through the private show. So, if you don't finish before the end of this public show, that's fine. We just want the public to have a taste of how we talk about and what we do. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And last night I threw a trade on right before bed, and I shared it publicly with Algo Factory, with the private group. So in essence, if anybody in the private group saw that, and of course we don't advise people in any way. We don't do any investment advice or anything like that. But if you see a trade and you do your own research, and your research happens to look like mine in the end, then you can take that trade too. And this is what it looked like. You're going to notice that price kind of topped out here on the EUR/USD trade. And I do this with cryptocurrency. I do this with gold and other assets too. But in this case, it was the euro. It was a Forex pair. And there's some indicators we're not going to talk about. But long story short, I saw a few things happen, and I knew to a statistical probability the price was going to move down. And so I entered the trade. What I didn't share was I actually had a second less safe entry. I entered right here where the green meets the blue, and you'll see that there are two lines. The original main stop loss is way up here above all the structure. You see these wicks to the left that have created a bit of structure towards the top. That's where I went ahead and put my stop loss above that. The second trade, I was a little more risky with a little smaller of a position, but I actually made more money on that because there was a better risk to reward. So you'll notice that the original trade is a 1.9 to 1. It's basically a 2 to 1. That means that if I were to risk $1,000, I would make $1,900. And then the second trade, I risked half that money, right? So we'll say 500, even though that's not the number. So 500 at a 3.4 to 1 is actually going to turn out to be 3.5 times 500, 15 by another 250. So like say 1700. So in a sense, and that's a rough estimate, is 19 by 17 roughly is, if you add those, not by, but 19 plus 17. So $3,600 on a $1,500 move. So that's better than a 2 to 1. If my math is right on that. So this is a beautiful, beautiful trade. And everybody got to see it happen live. And like I said, if you're an Algo Factory, you saw this entered before it moved to the target. So let's just say your research looked like mine. You could have entered this trade and made some money. So that's just a quick review of what happened in Algo Factory. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the screen down. And Trev, I'm just going to turn it over to you. And Trev, please just, first of all, to the public who are not familiar with Algo Factory, Trev has built an algorithm. He has actually created a trade methodology. Now, an algorithm is not something that you have to know how to code. You don't need to have a computer science degree. You don't even need a finance degree. I've taught people to trade who have high school degrees at best. So this is nothing, you don't have to have a high level of, education to do this. You just have to know maybe some high school math, and then, put in the work, basically is what that comes down to. Now, Trev, Trev is a cut above in his effort. Trev, you've taken this on from the start and you've really, really pushed. So go ahead, share your screen, hop into it, and just go for it. Tell us what you've done. Tell us what you care to tell us, and show us what you care to show us. I'm turning it over to you.
Oh, all right. Screen up. Yes.
Screen up.
Love it. Well, I don't know, how much of an intro do you want? So we
Whatever you're
started
comfortable
back.
with. You're in control, my
yeah,
friend. Whatever you like to do.
Well, give me some pointers if I'm going off track.
Sure.
So I started back in May, wasn't it? I think I was about a month after you guys had put the program together. Back then, I was I got to admit, I was not sure if I had the time to put together to actually build and trade in. But no, 6 months. I think at the time I wanted to look for get a level of competence up in 6 months' time. And I know you were concerned about it, Cowboy, and me a bit of a grilling over Telegram. But
I'm known to do that. I'm sorry if I grew. Look, just a quick apology ahead of time. Sometimes I get a little aggressive. It's I think it's the Sicilian in me. But please go ahead.
No. Well, it's fair enough that if you expect to be from zero to professional trader in 6 months when it takes 4 years, then yeah, it's absolutely fair to manage expectations a bit. I just feel that I'm in a position now that with things a bit precarious, that if it does go that way, then I've got a pretty solid foundation to build on. So it took a couple of months to go through the coursework, read back, understand what was going on, understand the indicators, and then months to start putting them together. And I think my first algorithm was one that we went through back in June time now. So let's go. So if I hide all of the additional stuff on, and there we go. So this was my first back in June time, which was basically with a moving average for the high time frame bias. Simple. Then I had a trade frame and then an entry time frame. And this was the first one that you took, all those months ago. So I've been playing with this one. I've been taking a few tests, got a few hundred pounds in the bank just to trial a few trades here and there. What I did find a bit frustrating, so like you say, I haven't followed the normal path of everyone else, is I was a bit frustrated with if I put on what I had first. I don't know if this is a bit too technical. I had a relative.
Not at all. What you might do, Trev,
is
sorry to interrupt. What you might do though is go to your resolution and zoom in a bit, so people can actually read what's on the screen, because that might help a bit.
Right. Okay. So if I so I'll go into the trading time frame.
Actually, I would use the resolution on your browser.
I'm on the app, so I don't know if.
Oh, you're on the. Are you? Okay, I don't know how you do that. Well, I guess that's fine. Don't if you can't do that, then don't worry about it.
Well, if I zoom in that way, I suppose I could log in. But yeah, basically, I had a moving average, convergence, divergence. I had where has it gone? Indicators. So squash that down. That one. Squash that down. Stochastic RSI be on there, and all the false index. I had that on there as well, and the indicators weren't giving me what I wanted, so I merged these two to form my own personal creation, which would give me an overbought, oversold indicator, which was the stochastic relative force index. And I've been using that for pullbacks. So you can see this trade up here. When the high time frame bias is on an upswing, and oversold situation there, which was here, and then I was looking for an entry to go in. So that's the basic force where I've got to in 6 to 8 months of trading. So that's how I've built it and got to where I am. And hopefully we got that bittersweet moment of a little bit for me, but this improved profitability. But it does mean I'll have to go back and back test all of my my assets that I've got deployed.
Well, and we'll do that. What I would ask at this point is whether or not you're about 180 back tests in, if I remember correctly.
That was the gold, yes. So
okay.
There was
the gold. Okay. Obviously, so for those out in the audience, what we do is we actually back test different assets because different assets behave differently. So if you're going to deploy an algorithm and you want to know what your expectancy is, which is a fancy way of saying you want to know to a statistical degree of probability how much money you're going to make or hopefully not lose. In trading something, you need to actually test each asset. And so we have on gold with this particular algorithm, something like 180 tests. So we're nearly done. What is do you know your expectancy, Trev? Have you done the math on that yet?
Yeah, here we go. Let's bring one of those up.
So what you're about to see as Trev brings up is his spreadsheet. And you can see he's really boiled this down to a science. And he's got different assets being tested. And this is the work that it takes. So those of you in the public who think this is some get rich quick, scheme, first of all, that's anybody who tells you make money overnight, they're just scamming you, taking your money. What this does is it takes a lot of work. Now it could be done in months. Some people take years, but Trev's been knocking this out in roughly 6 months, which is just simply remarkable. But it can be done, and I don't want to say it's easy. It's certainly simple. But here's what Trev's going to tell us right now what his expectancy is, meaning for every trade that he makes, what's the average amount of money he expects to actually pull out? Go ahead, Trev.
So of 60s, so this was before I boiled down the analysis. So it was around about 60%. So
okay, so your hit rate is 60%. You're winning 60% of your trades. Is that correct?
That was, yeah, is around about there. I was able to tweak it up a little bit. If I played around with the in-between two of the, I could push it up a little bit more, so I'd break above the 60. So that was a win rate, and then the net profitability. So I did it a little bit differently to yourself. So for all of the trades, the wins or loss, added them up, the risk to reward. So that would come at 58 versus 22. So that would give me. Oh right, no, I've screwed that up. Sorry,
that's
but
okay.
Basically, every time I put a trade down, I'm basically on a 0.6 to 1.
1.6. So you're winning 60% of the time, and you're at a 1.6 to 1. So if you multiply 60 by 1.6, then you're winning about, what is that, $96 per every 100? That's if you're putting in $100 on every trade, you're pulling out 96 on average based on that, right? Because you're hitting 60%. But which, if you were a 1-to-1, meaning that let's just say your risk to reward ratio, the amount, let's just say every time you put on $100, and if you lose 100. If you win 100, right? If you had that scenario, then you would be making an average of $60 per trade, because you would lose, you're at your 60% hit rate, right? So you're losing 40%, you're winning 6%, and that's how that goes. So you can do the math and add that up. Now you have a 1.6 to 1, so you have tilted the odds in your favor. So it might be time, if you like, I can go ahead and flip over to my screen. We can always flip back to yours, but I have a copy of your
sure.
algo ready for us to take a look at. So if you're ready, we can go ahead and do that. All right, let's see. I'm going to bring up yours. Let's see. All right, looks like we have some data. Okay. Okay, that's on gold. I'm just bringing up your algo here, making sure my screen has the proper resolution. And okay, let's share the entire screen. All right, so what we're looking at here is Trev's algo. Okay, and we're gonna, if there's time, we're about to be pretty much done with the public show here, so we might not have time to actually go through this and correct it. But even in its current iteration, this algorithm is profitable, and it's very profitable. These numbers don't, 1.6, 60%. Like, I'm going to tell you, that is a recipe for success. If you have these numbers, you can win and you can do well. So this algo on gold is deployable as is. Now you could always tweak it up, but I wouldn't go back. Even if I find a way to maximize this today in the private show, at this point, I would finish this back test and I would deploy. That's what I would do. And then what we can do is we can go back and improve once you have deployed and you're forward testing and you've, starting to actually make some money, right? So let's dig in here. We have 60% hit rate. We have 1.6 risk to reward. Okay. So just a quick look at for the public as to what that means. For these, what you see here on the screen, these these red and green boxes, those are trades, right? Those are trades. So I'm going to zoom in on one of these. And I'm going to manipulate this so that you can see this box a little bit better. I'm going to code these colors a little brighter, just so that the people out there in YouTube land and elsewhere can see what's going on here. Okay. Now, this box here, what this tells us is you have a 2.14. You can see risk to reward ratio. That means and I'm going to extend this out so we can see how the trade actually went. That means that if Trev enters this trade right here, let me grab my arrows, price eventually makes its way up to here, right about there. Now, had Trev lost this trade, let's say that he had entered $100. Let's say he risked $100. That means that if price had gone down and he automatically exited at this price down here at the bottom of this box, which is his stop loss, which is where he's cutting his losses and running, then he would be sitting at minus $100. He would have lost $100. And at that point, it's like, okay, I've lost 100. I'm going to move on, find the next trade, right? And it happens. It happens to the best traders. There is no trader ever that wins all the trades. That's just part of the game. And so what we do here is we don't build something that's going to win all the time. We build something that is going to win enough to where we know it's going to be profitable, and we do the math on it, and we use the scientific method to go back test, to do 200 back tests to gather the information I'm about to show you all right now, and then we forward deploy. We actually deploy the algorithm. We put it in real action with real money, with small amounts of money, just so we don't lose a lot of money in case things don't go as they did in back testing. And then once we have tested it with small amounts of money or a fake trading account, which is basically paper trading, then we deploy at full force and we make the money because we have back tested it, we forward tested it, we know what the numbers are, and we are willing to take a risk. And we can still lose everything. It can happen, but once you've done that level of work, the chances of losing everything are relatively low. So let's take a look at this here. This is a 2.14 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Now, what does that mean? That means that instead of losing 100, if he wins, he's winning $214, right? That's what that means. So he not only is winning 60% of his trades, but he is skewing his risk to reward ratio to maximize the wins and minimize the losses. And the actual numbers that Trev has come up with, they're not as good as this one all the time, but on average, he's looking at about a 1.6 to 1. So what does that mean? That means that for every $1,000, or let's just say $100, he is winning 160 and only losing 100. So for every time he risks 100, you're looking at minus 100 if he loses, right? And plus 160 if he wins. So that's an added $160, okay? plus 160. So even that, what that does is that offsets the losses even more. So already we can pretend, as I kind of verbally described earlier, let's just pretend for a moment that Trev is at a 1-to-1. Okay. So that means that every time he loses 100. Every time he wins 100, right? So an even 1-to-1 situation. Minus 100. Okay. And we will go plus 100. Now he's winning 60% of his trades and losing 40%. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of math. So if he's at a 60% win rate, which I typed earlier, but we're going to type again. Now he's at a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. You multiply 0.6, which is 60%, times 1, and you get $60 per trade that he is winning, right? So he's making 100, making 120, losing 100, making 80, losing 100. It's all kind of skewing around, but in the end, the average, according to the back testing and apparently some forward testing, is $60 for every time he clicks that button, including all the losses, including all the wins. That's what that is. But instead, in reality, what we have so far is 1.6 to 1, right? So we're not doing 0.6 times 60. We're doing times 1. We're doing 0.6 times 1.6. And I think my math said in my head $96. Really quickly, we're actually going to calculate that because I'm not trusting my brain at this time in the morning to do things in my head. We're going to do 60 times 1.6, and that comes out to $96, what that comes out to. So $96 per trade, or actually you would probably be doing pounds across the pond there, per trade is what? So every time he clicks that button, if these numbers hold, if this back testing holds, right? If the numbers that he has gotten in his testing actually holds when he deploys, every time he puts in 100 pounds, he's going to be making 96 pounds. Every time. He might lose some, he might win some, he might lose 100, he might make 120 pounds, whatever it is, but he's going to come away with 96 on average, provided that these numbers hold. Now, it tends to be that the back testing is not quite as friendly. So it might end up being like 88 or 86, or it might even be 102. You don't know if Trev is being conservative in his back testing, but this is the math that we do. This is how we know that it's like, okay, this could be profitable. I can deploy this. And when you back test 200 times and you forward test 200 times, that actually, first of all, what you've done is you've built an algorithm that is based on your personality. Now, I could share my algorithm with everybody in here. And as a matter of fact, our indicators are going to be made available for rent on our website. That's going to be possible. But what you're going to have to do is, if you were to rent my indicator, you're going to have to back test with my indicator. And then you're going to have to do whatever it is you do, add some other indicators, mix it around, do your own back testing. Because if you do not test, then you do not have the confidence built, right? And if you build your own algorithm, this is going to be inherently based on your own personality. And there is personality in trading. It's a big deal. For example, I don't like to hold trades more than 2 days. In fact, I don't like to hold trades more than 2 hours. I like to be in and out. It's my personality. Therefore, I have built most everything I do around multi-time frame possibility, where I can either hold for 20 minutes, 2 hours, or if I have to, a couple of days. But anything beyond that is beyond my personality. Now, your own personality is going to be obviously different than mine, probably. Hopefully, you don't want to be like me, trust me. However, once you have developed this on your own, or you've even taken my algos and at least tested them on your own, you now have the confidence to stick with trading, because that's the secret. There's a video in Clips. It's called The Secret to Trading. If you go watch it, it's basically going to be that the secret to winning is to build a psychological confidence. And the secret to building a psychological confidence is going to be to back testing and understanding how these things behave over time. Because what will happen to you, even with the best perfect algo ever, is that you're going to lose several trades in a row. It's just going to happen if there are streaks, and there are bad streaks. Now, if you haven't back tested, if you don't know what the numbers are, you're going to stop trading. You're just going to lose 5 in a row. You'd be like, hey, this sucks. I'm going to quit. In reality, you could be making a lot of money if you just stick with it. Those conditions that created those losses will probably pass. Now, if you have back tested 200 trades and even forward tested for 100 trades, whatever your number is, you will have seen that those losses occur, but it will have been done at risk free. The only thing you've lost is your time. in doing that testing. And therefore you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember, back when I back tested, I lost like 8 out of 10 trades in like a week or two. And so I know these things happen, but it's a really good algo. And you've built that confidence that you will be able to continue and you will not have lost all that time and money that you put into trading. And that is the secret. So for now, we're going to hop over, and in the private lab, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a look at Trev's algo that I have up on the screen, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see if I can squeeze out a little more profitability. But the point here is that Trev, at least for gold, since you've tested it so well, what I would do if I were you, this is not a recommendation or advice or anything, I'm just saying what I would do if I were you, I would go ahead, I would deploy that, right? At these numbers, you'll do fine if the numbers hold. You might do, maybe you'll make like $80 or $88. It might not be 96. It might be 102, whatever the number is, but it's profitable and you'll be making money while you're back and retooling this. So I wouldn't stop what I'm doing at 180 and retool something that is profitable. I would finish that out, do 20 more back tests and a little forward testing, and I would deploy. And then I would go ahead and treat this as a new algo when you go back and retool, possibly based on anything we find out today as I review what you got going on. So before I hand it over to the gorilla to go ahead and get us out of here, Trevor, do you have any comments that you want to kind of give or say, or anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah, it's been worth it. It's been a ride. It's been an education, but absolutely worth it. And I'm, well, let's just put it this way. The worst case scenario for me at the moment is to keep my job.
It's not a bad deal.
I love it. Yeah, Trev, absolute champ. We love having you with us. A scholar and a gentleman. V, can you go ahead and give us that gorilla send-off?
Absolutely. Listen, guys, all you guys in the free watching this on YouTube, listen, you got a little taste of what we do on the back end. Join us, $1.66 a day, cheaper than any cup of coffee sold anywhere in the country. You can't beat it. Okay, $1.66 a day. Join us, and we'll teach you one of the greatest skills you can learn this side of neurosurgery. And it's not even that hard. We'll teach you how to do it. You don't need to know math. You don't need to know computer science. You don't need to know any of that. It's like the gospel. Come as you are. Come as you are. And come to the church of algofactory.tech, and we will make you whole, and we'll make you making money. And one day, you will trade your job and upgrade your life. And with that being said, Cowboy, let's go into the private room.